from 17 once again, introducing you to my Ghost Recon Future Soldier Elite Difficulty video walkthrough. This is a Nimble Guardian, and this is our first real mission. That being said, there is a whole bunch of tutorial in this first section. So right now, it's introducing us to the concept of throwing the sensor grenades, which, as you can just see, when you toss those babies out, they're going to give you a heads-up display of where the enemies are through cover. And right now, I'm trying to tag these guys, but the game isn't letting me do it because it wants me to do what it's saying on the screen. And there's a couple of sections in this game where whenever there's something on the screen, you have to do it before you can carry on. And one section particularly, I thought the game had broken because the audio kicked out, the game froze, and I could still look around but I couldn't do anything. And it's because it wanted me to order a synchronized firing on a position. And I thought I'd killed the game, but it's all because of the tutorial is very heavy-handed, so just bear that in mind. And speaking of heavy-handedness, there's a massive aim assist on this game. It is more than generous. A lot of you, when you aim down sights, you're going to be locked onto people, and occasionally it's going to fuck you up because you're going to want to be shooting at a guy off in the distance and it'll lock onto the dude closer and things like that. And if you're pushing the right analog, what it's telling me right now, you can put your iron sights or your optic up on the weapon. And I'm not the biggest fan of the optics. I don't think you should see that much of the sight because it makes that post that supports it look exceptionally thin and a little bit silly. So I'm generally an iron sights guy, but on this game they've somehow managed to kill the iron sights because every iron sight has a triangle, and triangles don't make any ergonomic fucking sense. So I don't really like using them, but the scopes are terrific, and some of the ones that enable you to see through walls and things are super useful too. But all this is going to be is introducing you to the concept of popping out of cover, shooting people, seeing that a lot of the cover is destroyable, so there are a couple of occasions on the game where you're not safe in cover, so don't think you are. And just getting to grips with the controls. You'll also notice that I've got a silenced weapon. This is complete and utter preference. I take a silenced weapon everywhere. Occasionally it does bite me in the arse because it does do less damage. But I like silencers. I'm just a big silencer fan when I play anything like this. Similar to Rainbow Six, I always had a silencer on then. And it's just the way I like to do things, because it enables you to be much quieter, and the synchronized shots and things are just going to work much better. But the funniest thing about the start of this game right here is a lot of the mechanics you're going to be using for the rest of it you don't have access to. For instance, you don't have the active cloak at this moment in time, which is the best ability on the game. Although the stealth mechanic is kind of broken in a Metal Gear Solid type of way. And what I mean by this is, whenever it says on the screen contact, that means that there's enemies in your vicinity. It doesn't mean they've seen you or you're in trouble, it warns you that there are people in front of you. If it says engaged, that means that they know you're there and it's combat time, and even if you're completely cloaked, the enemies will be able to see you, and sometimes you'll even deactivate your cloak because it's combat mode. And I don't like that at all. In a game that's supposed to be tactical and with an emphasis on stealth, you know, and precision, it feels kind of clunky, so I'm not the biggest fan. Another thing I find really interesting is that you can't blind fire. And it might not be the most professional technique, but it does save your ass, and on this game you can't do it, and I don't know why. And the amount of times I've pressed the trigger without aiming in cover, thinking I was going to blind fire, and my guy sat up and got killed. There's a few of those that have happened, so just be careful with that. So right here we're coming up on one of the first breach opportunities, which is a mechanic that's been in Rainbow Six. It's also made its way into Call of Duty's, and we've seen it before, and this doesn't do it any differently. It's just a lot more simple, because your team are actually really good on this game. They're really good at times, and they're really bad at other times, which is kind of like a video game trope. And why they're good is because if you mark people, which you can do on this game, your team will take them down pretty well. They can get a little sloppy on Elite, where they'll get taken down themselves, but you can always order somebody to pick them up, and that makes it nice and simple. Your team's also really good at not being spotted. As long as you don't get spotted, your team will never ever give you up, which is a really good idea, because if your team could fuck up your performance, that would suck. That's what humans are for, and I'm glad that they've done that. But at the same time, your team doesn't like to follow you, and considering that the last two Ghost Recons gave you full control over where your team was, you could command them to come on you, you could that sounded so wrong, you command them to go in front, you could literally point out where you wanted them to go and give them commands, and they've taken all that out of the game. The team just kind of dynamically tries to follow you now, and there are opportunities where they will not move. And you'll be stealthing, thinking they're following you, and you'll completely infiltrate a base, and you'll turn around, and there'll be 3 triangles 9 miles away of your team. And then you've got to wait for them to come. Another bad line. To your position. And it takes them forever. And there's actually moments in this guide where I'm going to edit out the time it takes for my team to actually reach me. And I don't understand why it's like that, because there's even this really strange conceit where when you do get so far in front of your team and you get to a door that you need to open, all your teammates will stand up and run to you, regardless of how many enemies is in the area, regardless of position or cover. They'll run to you, and they'll all be completely invisible because the game doesn't want them to set off an alarm. And it's this way of compensating for the fact that they're not by your side, and it's really strange. But a couple of tips as well. Before you go into a mission, you do get the opportunity to choose your weapons. Choose the weapons that you're comfortable with. Me personally, I think you should always carry a sniper rifle. That's what I've always done in Ghost Recons. This game, I tried to be a little different, and it ended up biting me in the arse. So for my guide, I'm going to be carrying the snipers pretty much throughout, because it just seems to make more sense. I find myself in so many opportunities where the guns aren't accurate enough because of realism and various other things. And not only can you customise what gun you take, you can customise how it performs, and one of the really big impactful things is the trigger. You can either have a trigger that fires single shot, fires triple burst, or fires fully automatic, and what you choose will depend on how accurate you are, and it's complete and utter preference. I've tried them all, and they're all good for different situations. I'm kind of opting towards the fully automatic one, because then I can just press the trigger and feather it and get the desired effect. But there is really no wrong approach to this game. You're going to be given a drone that can scan ahead, much like you did in the last Ghost Recons. You're going to be given a whole bunch of different equipment, and you can use that equipment. You can send your drone out and make your team kill everybody, or you can not use any of that stuff, and you can play this like a tactical third-person shooter where you move up cover to cover and you pick dudes off in your own time. That will work just as well as using your team, and just as well as using... It all depends on how much of a Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon experience you want to get, and not everybody's going to want to play this like a tactical shooter. Some people are going to want to run and gun, and while it is not the best way to do things, it certainly can be done. There are situations where you have the choice of either infiltrating or shooting, and either way will work. One way of finding out if you've got that choice is if it says infiltrate. That means you can get in there without killing people. If it says secure, unfortunately you can't get anywhere until you kill people. And one of my main gripes with this game is there are a couple of areas which would have been really fun to stealth through, and they force you to kill everybody. And as fun as it is, it's not as fun as sneaking through an area unscathed. But this is our first real test of the sneaking mechanic, and you want to pretty much always be crouched. When you crouch, the enemies have a much harder time seeing you. If you see the indicator on the screen that tells you that somebody's looking your way, just go to prone. If you go to prone, 9 times out of 10, they will not be able to see you. And this is going to be outlined in some of the stealth missions coming up, because I'm going to show you some interesting paths through the levels where I really exploit that mechanic when that indicator comes on. Because once you know how flexible the indicator is, you know how to exploit it, and I'm going to show you exactly that. And one of the tips is just there, where you press B to come out of crouch, and before you've even finished standing up, go back to being laid down, and you can kind of worm your way through an area a lot faster than you would if you were just prone. But we're moving up on the house, which is going to be another one of those instances where we stack up on the windows. And then you're going to get introduced to the diamond formation mechanic, which is really fun, really stupid, and really not like Tom Clancy games, in my opinion, because this is taken directly from the Call of Duty manifesto. It is so stupid. Because what is going to happen is you're going to be escorting a high-valued target, and you're going to have one arm shoving him in a direction and the other hand using a pistol to Michael Bay as many dudes as you can. And for the most, these sections are pretty easy as long as you're shooting the people that are hitting you, and as long as, you know, you can kill people pretty quickly. The only problem is you are moving. Your aim does have inertia on it because of the, you know, you're getting swung left and right. You're pushing a guy. It's kind of an on-rails moment, and they can be a little annoying. But you do have an elevated life during those sections, and I don't know, I haven't really died on any of them except for the one on the second mission, which my first time through the game, I had no trouble with it whatsoever, but when I was recording, I kept getting killed, and I don't even know why. It was really strange. But hardcore fans of the series will notice that your life is no longer the green, yellow, red system, which in the old games, when you got shot, you went down a colour. When you got past red, you were dead, so you literally died in 3 hits. And the only way to remedy this was to get the medic of your team to heal you, which was a pretty hardcore, you know, response to managing your life. This game is full-on, you know, 2012 first-person shooter mode. Your life regenerates as long as you can sit in cover for a while, so you should never really be too injured at any given moment unless you're dying. Because the rule of thumb on this game for me was, if I ever got into a situation where I was taking repeated fire, I was dead. And there was nothing I could do, because it was generally a guy that went to my left or to my right, and it's just how it ended. There's a couple of bugs in the game that I came across where I didn't trip events, where, you know, the script just jazzed out on me and would not progress the game, so I had to restart, and that was really annoying, but hopefully you won't have any of those issues. It's kind of the luck of the draw. I am pretty unlucky when it comes to stuff like that. But continue pistoling your way on to victory, Tom Hanks in it up, Saving Private Ryan style, and before you know it, this level will be ending, and you'll no longer be a green future soldier. You'll be all up in it, and we'll be heading to, I believe, Africa for the next mission. And the locations on this game are great. There's plenty of different environments. There's only one level that I would consider filler, and that's because all it is back-to-back killing dudes, and I didn't enjoy it that much. Oh, and I'm going to be leaving the debrief screens up. The reason I'm doing this is to show you, firstly, that it's on Elite, and to show you, secondly, the statistics of that performance, to judge whether or not you're going to get, you know, above 60 on your Ghost level and all that good stuff, because there are challenges in the game to get weapons, to get features, to get all sorts of different stuff if you adhere to them. I'm not going to try and do any of them on my guide. I will do some of them by accident just through the course of it, but I'm not going to try for them. The main reason for this is not because I don't want to make the guide as good as I could, it's because I'm recording it on a different account. This is not my account. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope the guide's helping, and you take care now.